Are you looking for the right switch for your new flamboyant keyboard but feel like you're drowning in a sea of options? Don't worry, we're here to throw you a line. Wait, this isn't a rope, it's a cable! Hi Dygmates, I'm Dominique, and today we'll learn what you need to consider when choosing a mechanical switch for your keyboard. This is extremely important if your keyboard is not hot swappable, because getting the wrong switch can ruin your typing or gaming experience. But even if it's hot swappable, it's always a bummer not to make the right call. The Oxford Dictionary defines a switch as a small device that you press or move up and down to turn a light or piece of electrical equipment on and off. In the case of mechanical switches, they are the component that tells your keyboard that the key has been activated. How does it happen? Well, when you press a key, the stem goes down, pushing a metallic leaf to close the circuit. This is the actuation point, the moment when the switch registers the press. Then the input is sent to the computer and a character appears on screen. Then upon release, the spring brings the key back to its original position. Simple, right? It is. But the parts we mentioned, the stem, the spring, and the leaf, impact how the switch feels and sounds. Because that's the whole point. Switches do not only turn keys on and off, they're also the part of the keyboard in direct contact with our fingertips. And since we intend to make several gazillion key presses, it's best to choose the most comfortable switch for us. So the first order of business when choosing switches is deciding on a specific switch type. There are 3 types of switches depending on their behavior upon activation. Linear. They provide no feedback when activated, so they're smooth when you press them. Tactile. With these switches, you'll notice a bump. That means the key has been activated and you can release it. Clicky. These switches also have a tactile bump, but they make a characteristic click sound when activated, hence the name. However, the type of switch is not the only thing that defines it. Besides the feel, there are other things you need to consider. Operating force. In other words, the amount of force needed to activate the switch. This is measured in centinewton or gram force. 1 gram force equals 0.98 centinewton, so they're almost the same. Lighter switches require less force, thus less effort. But this is a double-edged sword. Since they're lighter, it's easier to activate them or make double key presses by mistake. Keep in mind that for tactile and clicky switches, there will be a force spike before activation. That's what's known as the tactile bump. Activation distance. It's how far you need to press the switch to register the key press. The higher the number, the deeper you have to press to activate. This is measured in millimeters. And so is the total travel distance. That's how far the stem travels before reaching the bottom. The higher the number, the more distance you have before bottoming out. By the way, bottoming out means pressing the switch all the way down until it makes this sound. So now let's take a closer look at different switches to help you understand their features and unique flavors. Choosing linears. Traditionally, these are the switches associated with gaming. When speed is vital, the tactile bump might be the difference between killing or being killed. On a less dramatic note, gaming is a very extenuating and repetitive activity, so the less resistance, the better. Plus, these switches are pretty much silent, which prevents you from becoming the person with a noisy keyboard that gets in the way of the voice channel. Some typists also prefer linear switches for similar reasons. Lighter switches mean less finger fatigue during long typing sessions. Let's take a closer look at some of the linear switches we offer with our keyboards, the Dygma Raise and the Dygma Defy. Kale Speed Silver. Light with a short activation distance, this makes it the fastest switch to activate, which is perfect for those who can't waste a millisecond. Next, we have the Gateron Yellow Pro 2.0. Probably one of the most popular switches, and for good reason. They feel great and sound amazing. What else can you ask for? Ah yes, they're quite affordable too. Kale Silent Pink, the lightest and most silent switch that we offer. They can be tricky at first because you can get double inputs if pressed with excessive force, but once you master them, the rest of the switches will feel too heavy. And lastly, we have the Cherry MX Red, the safest choice. You can never go wrong with this classic. The force is balanced, the sound is good, and the overall feel is very comforting. Thank you for comforting me. Tactile switches are ideal for typists. Thanks to the bump that you feel when typing, you can release the key before bottoming out. That might not sound like a big deal, but consider this. Let's say you type at 50 words per minute. That every word has an average of 5 letters, and that you type for 4 hours a day. That adds up to more than 60,000 keystrokes in one single day. I'd say it's worth trying to be more efficient in something that we do so many times, right? Kale Speed Copper. Like all the speed switches, their actuation distance is slightly shorter than other switches. Plus, the tactile bump is not very noticeable, so these switches can be used for typing and gaming. They're also the thockiest among the tactile switches, which is something worth considering. Kale Silent Brown. This is one of the most popular switches among our users. The Silent Browns are light but have a noticeable bump, and they deliver on the silent claim. If you like working at night or in a shared space, these are your switches. Next, we have the Cherry MX Brown. If you look for information on this switch, you'll get many opinions that deem these as not tactile, but scratchy linears. And that's not far from the truth. But what if that's a feature? The MX Browns have barely any bump, but that can be a good thing. They offer feedback with the least effort, and that's exactly what some typists prefer. Choosing clickies. With a very noticeable bump and characteristic click when pressed, these switches are ideal for typists and supervillains, because that's what you'll become if you go to the office with a keyboard with clicky switches. Many bad things have been said about the clicky switches, like they don't let people around you focus, and they interfere in meetings or gaming sessions. All of those are false accusations thrown with only one goal in mind: distract us from the real enemy, which is bottoming out. With a clicky switch, that will never happen, as you get both tactile and sound feedback when the key is activated. Music to my ears. Let's check out the 2 clicky switches we offer. First, the Cherry MX Blue, a true classic. It produces the click on the leaf, adding precision to the feedback on every press. Plus, for a clicky switch, it has a low operating force. Their sound is what most people would recognize as the mechanical keyboard sound. Kale Box White. Thanks to Kale's signature click bar, these switches produce a deeper and louder sound on activation, and they have a higher operating force. Plus, its box design reduces stem wobble and prevents dust from entering the housing. We know this is a lot of information to take in, but we're here to help. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and we'll be glad to answer them. You can also join our subreddit and Discord, where there are many enthusiasts who'll guide you. Bottom line, don't worry too much. If you get a hot-swappable keyboard like the Dygma Raise or the Dygma Defy, you can change your switches anytime you want. In fact, that's the beauty of it. Many people get new switches from time to time to try new things or in their pursuit of the perfect switch. Check this other video if you want to see how easy it is to swap your switches. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon. See you in the next video.